Hello, one and all. This is my view of that time of Reincarnated Slime, Volume 15. And obviously, right off the bat, spoiler warning, people who only watch the anime or read the manga, this is well past that. And for those of you who read the light novel but haven't gotten to this one yet, this is my spoiler-free view. It is, literally everything you wanted after the end of Volume 14. Rimuru and Raphael especially dominate in insane, overwhelming ways that I never saw coming. And what's more, so did everyone else in Tempest. I mean, a lot of them are still asleep, but, most of those who are still awake managed to have a moment to really shine, to improve, and to show just how far they've come from who they are when we first met them. There's seriously like a dozen different fights in this volume. Probably more than a dozen, honestly. I didn't count them. Alright, so let's get into the spoiler territory. Not gonna lie, the first 100 pages of this volume, they were frustrating. They were very, very frustrating to me. I mean, Volume 14 ended with Rimuru basically being trapped in a room, and then being told, oh yeah, in the 5 minutes you've been in here, your entire side lost the war. Sorry about that! And then this volume spent the first 100 freaking pages going over exactly how Rimuru lost the war, how every one of his soldiers, fell, how they lost their big battles. I mean, that was interesting. There were some great moments in it, but just seriously, after last volume ended, there was this great line and then Rimuru unleashed the anger they'd held back for all these years. I was excited. I was pumped. I immediately went out and pre-ordered this volume 6 months in advance. And then I'd get through 100 pages before seeing exactly Rimuru do it. Exactly how insane he got after losing his best friend. So yeah, frustrating. But, despite that, there was still a lot of really great moments, in the first 100 pages that I really liked. First off, we finally got an answer about exactly how strong King Gazelle, the hero of the dwarves, actually is, because that's almost been a running joke throughout the first 14 volumes. It has been said that Gazelle is stronger than Hinata, as strong as Hinata, just weaker than Hinata, and stronger than every demon lord who's ever existed. And obviously that one was, a major exaggeration, though not as much as I originally thought, because according to Gazelle, once he's, fully in battle mode and unified with an earth spirit, he is in fact as strong as an awakened demon lord, so yeah, he's actually fairly powerful and could do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Kondo decided to shoot him in the stomach, which... Seriously, man. Seriously. You were doing so good. You were doing so good in this volume up to that point. I mean, before this, throughout volume 14 and 13, I thought you were a horse's butt. You were awful. You were terrible. And you just downright sucked. But, he actually took some pride in his swordsmanship. And that made him, at least a little bit likable. I wanted to see him have a true fight against Gazelle, giving his all. And instead he freaking shot him. I mean, I can maybe blame that on him being mind controlled, but still, that was awful. That was so awful. But, despite that, I really did love the fact that it turns out Gazelle and Kondo practiced the exact same swordsman style. Seriously, what are the odds? Both them, taught by a descendant of, arguably the founder of the school. The founder, who was in fact Hakuro's grandfather, and then his brother ended up teaching someone who ended up teaching someone, ended up teaching someone who ended up teaching Kondo. So yeah, both basically descendants of the founder. Oh, I love that. I freaking love that. Oh, we also got confirmation that I think his name is Agara. The demon is in fact Hakuro's grandfather, who reincarnated as a freaking demon. And that is, fascinating enough. What I really love about that is the fact that Kondo basically said there's no way an ogre could use the swordsman style because it was designed to scare away demons. And as it turns out, the founder not only married an ogre and had ogre children, but also reincarnated as a demon. So the swordsman style designed to fight demons is now being wielded by an actual freaking demon. Oh, Kondo, you were wrong. You were so overwhelmingly wrong, and it was hilarious, and I loved it. But honestly, the big player in this battle for me, at least in the first 100 pages, has got to be Ghidorah, who, just for the record, I always imagine as that wacky mermaid wizard in Black Clover. I don't know why, but that feels oddly appropriate. Anyway, though, in this battle, he managed to do something very impressive, and that is not take off either side. I mean, Rimuru was afraid of him, betraying them, and that was certainly a possibility, but really he just chose to pick the path of neutrality here. He went up to Valgrind, Vidora's sister, and basically started chatting her up like, so, how you doing? And that served a purpose that both sides could accept. In the eyes of Tempest, he went straight up to the enemy, distracted her, got information out of her, stuff like that. And in the eyes of the Empire, he wasn't actually attacking them, so he wasn't really an enemy. Yay! And this led to one of the best moments in the first 100 pages, as he mentioned Masayuki, and she responded, who the freak is Masayuki? Yes, Valgrind, the right-hand man of the freaking Empire, the freaking Emperor, was completely and utterly oblivious to the fact that there was a man walking around Tempest who looked just like her beloved. And this just, really set off fireworks in my head. I'm not really sure if this was before or after, her line with Veldora where she said, oh, Veldora's skill can even control a true dragon. Just look at me. Wait, what? Why did I just think that? Oh well, moving on. I dropped my book. I literally dropped my book at that moment and was revealed that Valgrind, one of the true dragons, was in fact being brainwashed by her supposed beloved. At this point, my conspiracy theory wheels were definitely spinning. I assumed basically that that's meant that Valgrind never actually was in love with Ludora, and instead he was just, brainwashing her for centuries, millennia. Turns out that's not the case, and she does actually really care about him, but, he eventually became someone else, which I will definitely talk about in a second. And then secondly, there's the question about Masayuki. Who the freak is Masayuki, and why does everyone care about him? And if they do care about him, why wasn't Valgrind allowed to know about him? And, at this point, again, conspiracy theory, my main idea, the best way I could explain this, was basically to argue in my own head that at some point in the future, Masayuki would lose all of his memories and get sent backwards in time and eventually grow up to become the Emperor, eventually grow up to become Ludora. Turns out that's not the case. Though I may have been right about time travel, weirdly enough. I mean, I may have certainly misread the, end of this volume, and if so, let me know down below, but please, no spoilers beyond that. But it certainly seems like, Valgrind went to Japan to find the fragments of her beloved, of Ludora, ended up coming across Masayuki before he came to this other world, which means that she traveled not only, across dimensions, but backwards in time to the point before Masayuki came over to this world. So that's weird. That is really, really weird. I'm not really sure how to explain that one. Time travel is actually very tricky in this world. As best I understand, there's, one singular timeline, and whenever anyone goes back in time, they basically destroy that timeline and create a new one. So, interesting, though I guess that would make sense because Valgrind couldn't, travel back to this world to reunite with Masayuki / Ludora until she herself was sent to another dimension by, what was the name, Feldway? Okay, I'm not even gonna try piecing all that together, but yay, time travel, somehow. Anyway, though, lots of crazy things happened, Veldora was captured, and then Rimuru got, very, very angry. And he decided, you know what, I'm gonna fight two dragons at the exact same time, because why not? Why freaking not? And this definitely seemed to take a toll on Raphael, as she seriously messed up in this fight by saying, oh yeah, we're fine, while Rimuru was shouting out, no, dodge, right freaking now! And that ended up being the right move, because Raphael failed to take into consideration the fact that Veldora's skill, Lord of Faust, has a controlled probability thing to it. So yeah, Raphael made a serious miscalculation, one of the few times she's done that, in this entire freaking series. So certainly forgivable, especially because she's trying to figure out a strategy to face off against two true dragons, against two literal gods at the exact same time. She freaked out. She had every right to freak out. And so Rimuru decided to calm her down, and he decided to grant her a name. She became, from this point moving forward, Ciel, and this caused a massive change in her. I mean, Raphael has always been more than just an ordinary skill. Way back, at the very start of Rimuru's journey, she explained that she wasn't actually supposed to be able to talk, but she actually hacked the world's language, hacked the basically operating system of the entire world to be able to talk to Rimuru. That's not something even an ultimate skill should have been capable of doing, but she did that. And moving forward, she always expressed a bit of personality, a bit of, humanity that surprised Rimuru. Whenever he asked about it, she's like, no, you're mistaken, you're wrong, I'm just a skill, I have no feelings. And then later on, when Rimuru evolved into Demon Lord, she tried over and over and over again to evolve into an ultimate skill, and each time the world denied her until finally it worked. Finally, she became Raphael. And at this point, she began to wonder why she was trying so hard for Rimuru, why she was so desperate to carry out his goals, his ambitions, his dreams. And she didn't really have a good answer then, but here, now that she's become Ciel, now that she's gained a true personality, she says straight up that she was overwhelmed with joy at being ordered by Rimuru, at being given a request by him, and she was so excited to carry it out. She is well and truly human-ish by this point. I love it. I freaking love it. And the change to her is just so amazing. I mean, yes, she did a lot of insane things this volume, which I can't even begin to list here, basically giving every single member of Tempest an ultimate skill. Oh, that was insane. But what I really loved, what I truly adored about her, was that in the fight against Valgrind, she actually used psychological warfare. She got into her head and managed to trick and manipulate her. And that's just something that, Raphael / Ciel / Great Sage has always struggled with. She's never been really good at reading people's emotions, understanding why they feel the way they do, but here she does. Here she is actually able to freaking weaponize it, and that is so, so amazing. But then Rimuru also undergoes a great change because once, Ciel is able to properly capture Valgrind, a feat impressive on its own, Rimuru starts eating Veldora, and then, Ciel comes up with a whole bunch of things, one after the other, with the final one basically being, hey, so while you're eating Veldora, I was analyzing what he's made of, and I figured I can turn you into the same thing. I can evolve you into an ultimate slime. I can evolve you into a true dragon, the 5th true dragon, a god of this world. Holy mother. Holy freaking mother of God above. I dropped the book. Again, I dropped the book and I just started dancing and screaming at that point. Rimuru became a god. Rimuru became a freaking god this volume, and I'm so excited. I'm so, so excited about it. But anyway, though, then things went very, very well for him after that, as he basically managed to defeat Valgrind in the span of 30 seconds. Nothing she did could even touch him. That is how powerful he's become. That is how overwhelmingly powerful he has become, and I love it. And then we had the rest of the fights going on, and they were definitely interesting. Like I said at the start of this video, I love that everyone in Tempest was basically given a chance to shine, a chance to grow, and a chance to become someone new. That was so fantastic. First off, we had the, Magical Beast Division, which was... that was honestly a weird one. That was a very, very weird one for me. Right off the bat, let's talk about Carrion and Frey. I mean, I wasn't really expecting either of them to show up this fight, but they did. And they explained that the Tiger Dude and, the Phoenix Girl were in fact their long-lost brother and sister, respectively. Which, okay, I mean, that felt a little unnecessary. It felt like they could have been built up more in the past. I don't think either of them have ever mentioned a long-lost sibling before. So, yeah, that was weird to me. That was very, very weird to me. And then, Carrion won his fight basically because his brother fell asleep, which... I mean, that was cheap. That was so, so cheap. But, I guess there was a good point to it. The old Carrion would have waited for him to wake up and tried to fight him at his full strength. But the new Carrion, now that he's, a soldier, not a leader, he realizes that he has to fight to his best of his ability, that he has to take out his opponents, even if, the way isn't honorable, because that's what it means to serve someone else, to serve Malim. So I guess that makes sense. At least Frey, she had fought really hard against her sister, though nothing her sister did was actually able to hurt her because she is immune to all harpy attacks, which I have a lot of questions about that, especially because apparently she was able to defeat her mother and take that skill from her, but then how was she able to beat her mother if her mother had the anti-harpy skill originally? I don't know. I'm very, very confused by that. Either way, both of them managed to steal all their souls from their siblings and evolved into true demon lords. Good for them, I guess. I mean, they said last volume, hey, it'd be pretty cool if we could awaken and become true demon lords. And this volume they did, even though neither of them have ever killed a single human before. I really don't know what to make of that, but it's interesting. I'm very excited to see what they become next volume after that, whenever we see them again. And also, just while I'm on the topic of the Magical Beast Division, there's something I found just honestly hilarious here because, the Beast, this big secret medical thing they developed. It's basically what Gapta and the Goblin Riders already do, unifying man with beast. I mean, I know Ranga was in the middle of his whole evolutionary slumber, but I still wanted him to show up and then, fuse with Gapta and show the White Tiger guy exactly what it meant to, unify with a magical beast. That would have been amazing. That would have been so amazing. But anyway, though, then we had Ghidorah fighting a living rock, which ended up being a very difficult fight for him, and the only thing he could do was to kill himself, figuring, okay, you know what, I'll revive, I'll resurrect in a couple of years, whenever. It's fine, I've done this many times before. But as it turns out, that would violate Rimuru's orders that nobody was allowed to die, so instead, he was, reincarnated as a freaking metal demon, an entirely new species of demon that has never existed before. And just to make things so much sweeter, he was given access to a magical grimoire, I guess that's the skill, that gives him full access to every spell Rimuru knows. Rimuru knows a lot of spells! He knows so many freaking spells! Seriously, when he was a teacher back in Glossia, he basically memorized the contents of the entire library. Holy mother of God above, Ghidorah just, he rose in rank several dozen-fold. And at this point, I seriously want to see a tournament between all the bosses of the Labyrinth, because I think Ghidorah might have just earned himself, a much higher ranking. Oh, that was amazing. That was so amazing. I freaking loved it. Oh yeah, and then we also had Vega show up, Yuki's subordinate, who ate the 4 divine beasts and their god-tier weapon, and then became something basically the equivalent of an awakened demon lord, which was... that was something else, but then it got even weirder as Laplace showed up and managed to beat him down within the span of like 5 seconds, so... what's his deal? Seriously, what is the deal with Laplace? I mean, it's been said, it's at least been hinted at many times that he is way stronger than he lets on. I mean, he beat Roy Valentine like it was nothing, and then later on, when he was, forced to face off against the brainwashed Yuki, he thought to himself, okay, now I release all the power I've hidden up to this point, so... Laplace is something else. He is seriously something else, and I'm very excited to find out exactly what his deal is. And again, no spoilers down below, please. And then we have, the Battle of the 8 Gates, which honestly felt a little contrived. Like, Velzard's like, okay, I'm not gonna fight you myself. Instead, let's split up. It was weird. It was honestly kind of weird, but it was also a great excuse just to see some one-on-one fights or some two-on-one fights, and just to give everyone a chance to grow. I mean, Diablo is definitely right. I mean, he made this whole excuse like, I need to stay here to keep an eye on Rimuru to make sure his fight goes okay, and to make sure Yuki doesn't interfere. That was bull, obviously. But the argument he gave after that, to say, if I interfered, if I fought against, the Imperial Knights and all that, I would win very easily. But I think it's better to let them, fight and take a little damage and to grow from the experience. And he was 100% right here. Carrera and Ultima, I mean, they came very close to losing in this battle. And, in order to counter it, they had to grow. They had to evolve. They had to develop ultimate skills of their own and actually become stronger fighters because of it. And as a result, they became insanely powerful. So much so they even stole the skills of the people they were fighting. Ultima, the poison demon peer, or devil lord, I forget what she is at this point, now has, the full access to all of Damrada's fighting abilities. Also to love that, when she stabbed him to death, his first and only comment was, that wasn't a punch, that was a strike. He complained about her naming style. That was precious. That was so precious. Meanwhile, Kondo, he died and left his gun behind to Carrera, who now has a gun to focus all of her insanely overpowered magical abilities. And I do mean insanely overpowered. I think it was said that if she actually tried to use that spell in the outside world, it would exterminate the planet. Holy mother of God, that girl is terrifying. That girl is so terrifying. I mean, they all are, honestly. Testarossa managed to develop an ultimate skill while she was sipping freaking tea. That's actually more impressive than the other two fighting to the absolute limits of their abilities. I loved it. Oh yeah, we also found out that heaven is real! Huzzah! That was definitely a point of contention because it's been said many times before that when someone dies in this world, they reincarnate, and yet when, oh god, what was his name? I'm really blanking. The Seventh Day Saint. You know what I'm talking about. The dude who fought against Luminous a couple volumes back. Granville? God, I can't believe I forget his name. Anyway, when that dude died, it said, oh, we're going to liberation, we're going to heaven. And that really countered everything I thought I knew about this world. But as it turns out, the only people who get to go to heaven are enlightened who die with souls free of sin. And that feels like, a very, very strict requirement. I mean, seriously, in the 1,000,000-person strong army that attacked Tempest, only Caligula actually awakened into a saint, so only like 1 out of 1,000,000 people when they die actually go to heaven. Oh, that's brutal. That is so, so brutal. Though I guess it makes sense, when they reincarnate into somebody else, that's their chance to, do better and eventually strengthen their souls to the point where they awaken and free of sin are able to pass on to heaven, pass on to the afterlife. I guess it makes some sense. Interesting. But anyway, though, then Velzard realized, oh my god, I've been brainwashed. I've also been eaten by Rimuru, but the brainwashing is a bigger concern right now. As it's explained that, Ludora is in fact not Ludora, and he has not been Ludora for a very, very long time. Basically, every time he reincarnated, he lost a piece of his soul, and he's done that so very, very many times that there's no longer any, actual Ludora inside of Ludora. He is All Michael, the ultimate skill given to him by the Star King Dragon, was it Veldanaza? I don't actually know how to pronounce that. Let's go with Veldanaza. And Michael's big ultimate goal is, in fact, to bring Veldanaza back to life, which does actually make sense. I mean, Rimuru felt a bit of compassion for him because he knows that's exactly what Ciel would do if he himself died. She would commit massive, massive genocide to revive him somehow, some way. Though he seems to think the only way to do this is to actually kill all the true dragons, which feels like a weird philosophy. I'm not sure exactly why he thinks he needs to do that, but interesting. I'll definitely get back to that later. I also kind of feel like maybe he might be manipulated by Feldway, the 10th of the single digits, or the 10th right outside the single digit. That dude's weird. I mean, probably should have realized there was something wrong when he was said last volume, oh, the 10th is always there to take the place of any single digit who falls, but he can't actually become a member of them. I assume that, he's really strong, but just not awakened, so he can't, take the ultimate skill, but no, he is something different. He is I think the term used is Mystic Lord, which, yeah, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Not really sure what to make of him right now. But he seems to have his own plan, his own thing going on. And apparently he is as strong as Diablo, or at the very least, the two of them would have a very hard time killing one another. So that's concerning. That is very, very concerning. But I guess Rimuru will find a way, somehow, some way to kill him down the road. Huzzah! And that's, basically the volume. After that, Ludora and Feldway and I guess Yuki and his team and all of the, undead they've just, summoned into this world all just kind of sort of disappear and aren't seen again. So not really sure where they went. I mean, they aren't in the Empire right now. Remember, would have seen that with his eye. So where exactly are they? What exactly are they planning? I think Diablo said, oh, you want to take over this plane as well. So I guess that seems to imply that they are, a foreign species from another dimension. That actually, I think about it, it could be that Feldway is in fact the king that the insectoid that Shion fought actually referred to. I mean, I assume when she first said that the king was another one of the single digits, but yeah, there was no, other insectoid mentioned in all the fights, so could it be that Feldway is in fact the king and there's going to be, an insectoid army coming to take out Tempest down the road? I don't know. Maybe. That would make the most sense right now, though I'm not entirely sure. And then Velzard left on her way to a journey to find the rest of the pieces of Ludora and put them back together somehow, some way. And I guess, since those pieces are Masayuki, when she does eventually find him and give him back the last piece, he'll gain his memories, and then Masayuki will become Ludora, the Emperor, which, oh, that's going to be interesting, because Honestly, what I love about this so much is the fact that people already assume that Masayuki is as strong as Rimuru, maybe even stronger than Rimuru. And now he's actually going to have the power to back it up, so really nothing changes for him. Oh, that's hilarious. Though I really, honestly want to see, what was it, Bernie and Jiwoo, the two single digits who were, assigned to follow him around, react to learning that the person they were protecting was, in fact, the emperor that they had sworn to serve. Oh, that is beautiful. That is so utterly, utterly beautiful. Honestly, I would not be mad if the entire next volume was just Masayuki and Velzar dealing with all of that and just, everyone reacting to Masayuki suddenly becoming, basically a god. I mean, probably still well below Rimuru, but insanely powerful in his own right. That would be amazing. That would be so utterly, utterly amazing. And, I guess Damrata realized that Masayuki was in fact, the reincarnation, more or less, of the Emperor and wanted to protect him, while Kondo was under orders or being brainwashed by the Emperor to, kill him because he was worried about Ludora, the real Ludora, stepping up and taking back the throne or something. I'm not really sure about that. And I guess Velzar wasn't allowed to know about Masayuki at all, because if she knew there was someone walking around who was basically the reincarnation of her beloved, she'd start wondering who exactly she was sitting next to all this time. Wait a minute. Ludora is over there. Who the freak are you? Oh, that would have been funny. That would have been very, very funny. But I guess, the brainwashing would make her forget that over and over and over again. Oh, poor Velzard, you really have suffered here. And I really did like the way she interacted with Veldora this volume. I mean, back at the beginning, she's like, oh, this would be so easy, I'll take him out 1, 2, 3. But then she realized very quickly, okay, Veldora, he's gotten strong, this is a bit of a fight for me. And then she slowly realized, okay, I might actually lose this fight. My adorable, sweet little brother has gotten very, very strong. And then when Rimuru, essentially ate Veldora, she got mad. She got very, very mad and attempted to murder him for, killing her sweet, adorable little brother and stealing his place as the 5th true dragon. Oh, Malim! I really want to see Malim react to Rimuru becoming a true dragon. I mean, that is actually mentioned, this volume. Rimuru says, oh, I bet I could take on Guy or Malim at this point. And then he says, oh, I'm getting too big ahead here. Could Rimuru take on Malim? I mean, Guy is like a total mystery, but Malim, I mean, technically she's a child of a true dragon, so her power should be about equal to Rimuru, but then again, her father was Velnazard, the truest of true dragons, the first, the creator of the entire world, so yeah, I'm not really sure if Rimuru would have much of a chance against her. It would certainly be a closer fight than it would be in the past. But anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts on this volume. I mean, there are still a few things I'm a little unclear about, like, for example, Uriel, Lord of Vows. That was a skill Rimuru got when he first evolved into a Demon Lord. But according to Velzard, it was also the skill that Ludora got and Ludora evolved into over time, due to his own powers. And then it suddenly disappeared one day. So did it disappear because, he lost it as a result of reincarnating over and over again? Or did he lose it because Rimuru basically stole it from him? That was a bit unclear. And if, Rimuru basically just acquired it after he lost it, does that mean that Rimuru always contained a piece of Ludora's soul inside of himself, which Ciel then gave back to Velzard when she merged Uriel with her own skill to form, the God of Flame skill? I'm not sure about that. That's another weird question. There's also the thing about Michael being able to control anybody who has an angelic skill. That feels important. That feels very, very important, especially because up to that point, Rimuru actually had the Uriel skill. So does that mean Michael could have controlled Rimuru through that skill? I mean, I'm not sure about that. That's pretty confusing. I definitely want to go back and review this volume down the road before volume 16 comes out. My best guess is that'll be around Marchish, probably. Hopefully. I mean, I'm so excited for it. I want to pre-order it already, but it's not currently on Amazon or listed anywhere else. If anyone knows when exactly it's coming out, please let me know down below. And just, again, let me know what you think of this whole volume. What do you think of Raphael's evolution into Ciel? What do you think of all these fights? And what exactly is going to happen next? Because, everybody just got really, really strong, and they all got an ultimate skill, And, that seems to imply that something very, very bad is about to happen. I mean, the author making everyone in Tempest insanely powerful seems to imply there is a much crazier, bigger baddie waiting in the wings, and, there are a lot of possibilities there. First off, there's, what's his name? The Demon Lord, who's a giant, whose children, Shion taught for a while. He is certainly a possibility. Apparently, he went to war with, I guess, Luminous in the one timeline that Chloe mentioned. There's Guy himself, who's always a wild card. I mean, he seems to be in good relationship with Rimuru right now, but Rimuru probably wants to defend Masayuki, and Guy might have some strong feelings about that when he finds out that, Masayuki is Ludora. Though it's honestly kind of weird that Guy doesn't already know about that. I mean, he clearly wasn't paying that much attention to Tempest, but, Masayuki's, banners were all over the city, so that feels like something he should have noticed. Possible. There's, the insectoids that, the big bug Shion fought mentioned. They're always a potential threat. Wait, insectoids or insectors? I think those might be two separate species. Either way. And obviously there are angels, because, yeah, that's mentioned since, the very beginning of the series. Oh, the Tenma War is coming. Oh, the Tenma War is coming. Oh, it's been 500 years since the last Tenma War. That happens every 500 years. That is a very, very real threat that's going to happen at some point. I'm not really sure that's going to be the next big bad or if it's going to be the one after it, but yeah, it's coming. It is certainly coming. But anyway, though, let me know what you think about all this down below. And until next time, peace!